And you can either accept or deny the propositions or whatever I put to you. If we look at tab 85, 0135 0200, that's on 27 March 2014, and I'll direct everyone's attention to 0135 0201. When you find the document, sir, let us know.
Yes, sir.
All right, so this is March. At this point, are you under the care of the victims and witness section?
Yes.
Okay, so part of their job is your well-being, keeping you safe and secure.
Yes.
Okay, and I take it that the OTP investigators were also working hand in glove with the victims and witness section to make sure, or unit, to make sure that that was the case, right?
Yes.
And I take it from their long experience, they have certain procedures in place, right?
Whose long experience?
The victims and witness unit, the people that work there, they have experience in setting up protocols on how the people that are under their care should behave.
How can this witness answer that question?
Well, he was part of it.
Question. No, he wasn't part of it.
I'll move on.
For your information,
Thank you.
I'm not working for leader.
I never suggested that you were. But they were, but you had contact with them, did you not?
I'm in contact.
Not at all? You never met anyone? Anyone from that unit in the field?
We're changing the question.
Mr. Canavas, please, put your questions slowly so that you could help the interpreters also, and so that the witness can understand your question.
So if you look at line 16, this is going to be a fairly obvious question. Perhaps I just want to, for completeness, I just want to know, in our dealings with you, and on the first day of the interview, we read through the different phone numbers that we had for you, and different phone numbers we knew you had, and that you hadn't told us about. Why did you have so many phone numbers? Can you explain? Let me ask you this question. Was that a legitimate question for them to pose to you? These are OTP investigators. Was that a legitimate question to pose to you? Yes or no?
It was legitimate.
It was legitimate. Okay. Answer. Yes, for the time you are together, we had been together in location number, I think it's number 5. Number 6. Okay, we had been together in location number 6 up to date a long time ago. And I've been in possession of so many numbers, a number of communication lines. And this is because I communicated with you on various lines. And after the meeting with you, and on those lines, I left the lines completely for my security purposes, knowing that communication in Kenya is a vital thing because you can be followed easily using your communications, using the communication data. Therefore, on various occasions, I had to change my phone numbers for myself. That's your answer.
Yes.
Okay. So without notifying them, you were changing numbers, changing SIM cards, changing phones.
Where I found that I will put myself into a security risk, I did change the numbers because matters of security does not start with the BWU or officers of this court, matters of security starts with myself.
All right. Okay, some of those numbers, this is on line 28, some of those numbers that you had that we weren't aware of, did they include speaking with other people you believe to have been witnesses of the ICC? This is your answer, line 30. Probably. I changed the numbers because I communicated with you. Others, I changed those numbers after communicating with this individual, with a member of the, an investigator. And those ones that I communicated with person number, no,
17?
7,
4 and 17?
yes, right. Do you see that? Do you see your answer?
Yes.
Now, were you supposed to be communicating with those individuals?
No, and that's why I changed the numbers.
You changed the numbers so you can communicate with them.
When I communicated to them, I knew it could cause my security risk because I don't know who else they will communicate to after I communicate to them, and that's why I changed the numbers.
Okay, but hold on. You were instructed not to communicate with them by your handlers, by the investigators, right?
Yes,
Now, by changing SIMs and changing numbers, you're also able to communicate with them without your handlers knowing that you were communicating with them. So it didn't go just to your security. It also was to prevent the investigators from knowing with whom you were communicating.
My Honor, all these witnesses that I communicated to are people that were well known to me, and even after when we were in the protection program, we were still communicating in the beginning to know how we were faring on. And I want to say that I did not want to deny that we continued to communicate at different times with these witnesses, even when we were in protection in the protection program. That one I do not deny.
All right. Now, if we could turn our attention to, what tab is this?
Message from the English booth. Could Council please observe a pause between question and answer to enable interpretation? Thank you. It's far too fast.
Mr. Canavas, I'm just getting a message from the interpretation booth, that you allow the witness to answer questions and pause a bit after the answer before we go on. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Tab 67, 0135, 0509. Document is dated 2 July 2014. We're in a different location. Location number 12. So we'll be talking about that location. And if we could look at, it would be page 15, so it would be 0135, 0524. You should have the list over here, the handy list of the numbers of the locations and persons. If you could look at location number 12, were you ever there during that period?
Location number?
12. And if not there, the country where location number 12 is in.
I have been to this.
Okay. So if we turn to line 537, okay, I always start off with the phone communications and what people come into the interview room when it's just a standard practice. Okay, this phone that you have here, who do you contact on this particular phone? Now let me stop right here. It sounds from the question.
Are you, sorry, Mr. Witness, are you at the page that counsel is referring to?
No, my Honor, I wanted to
Okay, I'll wait.
ask.
I'll wait.
Which tab?
It's tab 67, and you want page 15.
Yes.
I'm now there.
Okay, good. Well, let me start off again, and if you could follow along, I'm going to read from line 537. Okay, I always start off with the phone communications and what people come into the interview room with. It's just a standard practice, okay? This phone that you have here, who do you contact on this particular phone? Do you recall being asked that question?
Yes.
Now, had that question been posed to you in previous occasions? Or something similar to that, whenever you would meet with them? Did they ever ask you about your phones?
No.
Okay. And here you say that it belonged to your wife, right? Mostly, it's my wife and a few friends that you contact with that phone, right?
That I contact my wife and few
Friends. Okay. We go further down. A few people from where I stay here, I've given them numbers that we shared. So people that you were, when you say stay, where I stay here, you meaning in the locality?
in the hotel.
In the hotel. So you're staying in a hotel, you're using a private phone, you're calling, it's for your communications with your wife and communications with others, including folks that are working or staying at the hotel.
It was the number that I arrived with in this location. So I found a few people that we interacted in the hotel,
Okay.
and as normal we could share, and especially the people that I was introduced to helped me to locate where to get what I needed in that, because I was new in that locality.
Okay.
If I found someone who could show me around, show me where I can buy stuff that I needed, then it was easier to communicate through phone, and that is how.
Okay. And I take it VWU was fine with that. That was sort of that was something that was authorized for you to do, to share your number with others as you were doing. Or were you not supposed to be doing that?
From the beginning, yesterday, I told you my private number. there were no limitations to me apart from
Okay.
calling. I was not supposed to call people that were a security risk to me, and the official telephone that I was the telephone that I was using to communicate to the VWU, for instance, telephones that I used to communicate to the investigators, for instance. Those were the telephones I was that I had limitations of using with others. But telephones that were private telephones that I was using, only I was supposed to make sure that I don't put myself into any security risk by communication.
Okay, so you were giving these numbers, though, to strangers, in a sense. You didn't see that as a security risk.
Yes, because none of the people that I was using that I shared my telephone to knew what I was doing,
Okay.
where I came from, the location where I came from, and why I was there. It was not publicized. It was not something that was in public. It was something that was in private with me, and therefore the people I was interacting with close to me, if they ask. If someone asks you for you cannot say that I cannot give you my telephone. That will be even more, people will start to get even more suspicious. So people that we interacted with.
Mr. Canavas, can you switch off your...
People that I interacted with in the hotel and became friends, and we interacted freely. Then those ones I could share my telephone number with them.
So that,
I have explained that, for instance, if I get someone who can show me the time I was in that location, for instance, I could not speak the language that is spoken in that location. Therefore, when I want to go to do my shopping, I will need someone to accompany me, and I will need someone to interpret to me something that maybe I need. Therefore, I needed someone who could assist me. An easy place to get someone to do that is in the same place where you are staying. And whenever I needed help, I could easily make a call. That's how I shared the number with them.
all right, let's move on. You were then asked if they have the number that you said yes. How many phones do you currently have in location number 12? You're asked that question. We can see that on line 550, 551. Your answer is 1. You just have one phone, and this is it. Answer, yes. Can you please tell me the number of this phone? I would like to, if you let me confirm, please. Now, I take it that was the only phone that you had. You were being honest and truthful with the investigators when you said that at that time, at that location, on that day, you only had one phone.
When I was discussing with this, at this time, I was having this phone. The next one I arrived with it there.
I know you had this phone, but that's not my question. My question is, on this day, at this location, when they ask you, how many phones, you say 1. Is the number of phones that you have only 1, or were there other phones in your possession? It's a yes, it's a no. It's I don't remember.
I don't remember that.
Okay. So if you don't remember, that means that you may have had more than one phone at that time.
At that time, I had one phone.
Let me
To the
rephrase.
best of my knowledge, I remember. Because I've given an answer to this line that I had.
I understand. There's the line is there, but I'm asking from your memory.
Therefore, I had that phone with me at that time.
Okay. So your answer is maybe you had more, but because you see one, your answer is it must be one.
Yes.
Okay. Because if you had more than one, then you would have been lying to the investigators at the time. Right?
Yes.
Okay. If we could go to page 17, and that would be 1350526. There's just some minor stuff concerning your phone habits. Line 605, you say that, or to my wife, she's the one that put her SIM card in this one. So when you say this one, we're talking about the phone that you had, your wife was putting her SIM card in. Right?
Yes.
Okay. So that, if I understand you correctly, when you came to that location, you brought with you that particular phone.
The phone that I was using,
Right.
at times, my wife could put her SIM card in it.
Okay, I understand. I'm not worrying about at times. This particular phone, you must have brought it from where your wife was staying, because you're saying at times she would put her SIM card in. So that's the phone, right?
Yes.
I've also put the one that I was using in this other location, in location number 4, to communicate with you. So you also put in a SIM card. So your wife would have a SIM card, you would have a SIM card.
Yes.
Now, did there come a time when you would take out the SIM cards and put other SIM cards in that particular phone?
No question, please.
Did there come other times, were there times when you would take out your SIM card, the one that you were using in location number 4, to put other SIM cards so you could communicate with your friends or your wife?
If there are times I could use other SIM cards,
Were you using other SIM cards with that particular phone?
I don't remember.
You don't remember. Okay. So then you go on. You bought me a phone because they ask you, didn't we buy you a phone to communicate with you? So in other words, the investigators are saying, this is not a phone that we recognize. You're saying it's yours. They're asking, did we not buy you one? And you say, yeah, you bought me a phone. But when I was at home already, my wife, she had to insert her SIM card into it, and then I didn't use it from here. So let me ask you this. The phone that you were provided by the OTP investigators, were you also supposed to lend that or allow your wife to put her SIM card so she could also use it?
Remember, by that time I had gone home. That means I was not having any intention that I would go to this location by the time my wife used the phone.
So this was a phone provided to you by the OTP investigators. You had left the OTP as a witness. You kept the phone, and you said, here, wifey, here, you can put your SIM card and use it. Is that how it went? More or less.
I'm sorry, I'm not the kind of man who hides phones from their wives.
But this was a phone that was given to you by the OTP investigators, and now you're giving it to your wife so she could use it while you're using it as well. Is that correct?
When I'm at risk, my wife does too.
Now it goes on, they say, the interviewer, okay, just before I go into this further, I'm just going to have to remind you, I'm underscoring that word for you, remind you that it is not a good practice to be swapping SIMs, because I can tell you every SIM card that's been in this phone, okay? And if I can do that, then other people can also do that. Were you not warned not to engage in that practice?
I have just answered that I have gone.
I'll take that answer. I'll take that answer. You don't have to repeat it. We'll go on to the next. Further down on line 621. But it's a dangerous practice, okay? Just to remind you that it's bad practice, particularly can I ask on this phone now, what phone is this person calling you? This is another investigator. And you say this one. So further down, line 629. Okay, so you were never provided a phone when you came into the country. And you say, no, not yet. Or a SIM card, not yet. Line 633. Okay, can I ask you on this phone? You said there were some local people. And you say yes, and then we pretty much covered that issue. So, is it true that at that point, neither VWU or the investigators had provided you with a phone?
They're not.
Okay, so you were there all by yourself without a phone, and that's why, thank God, you had that phone from your homeland when you came there, that you were able to buy a SIM and use it. That's a question. So but for that phone, you would not be able to communicate, right?
Yes.
Okay. If we go on to 01350527, that would be page 18, starting with 672. Excuse me, I also asked you who has access to this phone number. We have 3 digits. And you told me there is a couple of people from the hotel here that you've spoken to. Who are they? Are you able to tell me who they are, who these people are that have numbers? And then you say, on the next page, 01350528, I've called, I think, 2 other friends from home. Further down, you say that you call somebody that works for you. And then you say, I think I'm in Nairobi. They think that I'm in Nairobi when I'm calling the others. I put my phone into hide identity so I can call.
Yes.
So that's what you were doing. When you were in different locations, you could put your phone in hide identity and call them from wherever you were to give the impression that perhaps you were still in Kenya when in fact you might be somewhere else.
When I called someone that could pose a security risk to me, and in that case, I called people who were working for me in my yard on a private call, just to make sure that I'm secure when making calls.
Okay. Now, if we could go to tab 41, I know you've said this, but I want to be clear on the record. This is a transcript from the Ruto and Sang case when you testified. The date is 21/11/2014. And it's regards, we're on the same topic. And it's page number 9.
Is it in volume 1? Did you say 41, tab 41?
I said, yeah, tab 41, Your Honor. And it's a transcript. If you could find it, sir. And if you look up on the left corner, you'll see a number. Perhaps you might recognize yourself.
Tab 41.
Now, if you go to page 9, and you go to line 12, question, sure. And incidentally, sir, at that time, how many phones did you have? At that time, yes. At that meeting, I had that phone that I gave out. Now further down. I don't recall, this is on line 21, I don't recall because I owed so many phones by today, and phone that I used for most of my communications is the phone that I gave out. And do you at least recall how many SIM cards you owed? I don't. So can that, from your testimony under oath, can we conclude that you had so many phones that you didn't remember how many you had over this time, during this period of time?
Sorry, Your Honor, which period of time is my learned friend referring to?
Well, the period of time, well, the Ruto and Sang case was talking at this stage, his involvement in contacting person number 2. Is it fair to say that during 2013, 2014, when you were working and being handled by the OTP investigators, that you had so many phones and so many SIM cards that you're not able to tell us how many?
Perhaps if you may tell me how I was working for them.
You were being handled.
Thank you.
So my question is, do you remember how many phones exactly you had or were using and how many SIM cards?
I don't remember.
And would it be fair to say that you don't remember the numbers that you were using?
I don't remember.
Okay. And then one last, this is tab 22. This is again in the same case, different date, 26/11/2014. And now it's Mr. Steinberg who's asking the question, so perhaps he doesn't need his memory refreshed on the time that we're talking about. And he poses the question to you on line 10. This is on page 106. You were confronted at a certain stage with an analysis report, a cell phone analysis report by my learned friend from the Ruto team.
Which page, please?
106, Your Honor. And I'm reading from line 10.
Did you say tab 21?
22, Your Honor. 22.
And page?
Page 106. Starting around line 10. Mrs. Steinberg is asking
Yes.
question,
Yes, please.
and he's asking you about being confronted with a cell phone analysis report. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And do you recall being confronted actually with that report? Not just the question of it, but actually seeing a report that they showed you?
Yes.
And that was a report, it was an extraction report. They wanted to find out what exactly was happening in that particular phone, to extract all the information.
Yes.
Okay. Because they wanted to know whoever was using that phone, and I presume it was you because it was your phone, they wanted to know what activities you were up to, who you were communicating with, and who was communicating with you, right?
They wanted to see the communication that I had done to the person number.
All right.
The person number 2 you mentioned. Yes, the person number 2.
But also, in general, what was going on with that particular phone? Who else you were communicating with? Or was it just strictly targeting person number 2 and nobody else?
In my understanding on that, the need for that extraction that you've spoken about was to see the communication with person number 2.
All right. And then Mr. Steinberg goes on line 15. Before I get to the report, you also ask at a certain stage how many SIM cards you had while you were in the protected location. You couldn't recall how many, but can I ask you this? What was it, one SIM card or more than one SIM card? And you answer more than one. And did you just use one SIM card in one phone? Did you use more than one SIM card in one phone? Did you switch SIM cards between phones? Or how did it work? So he's giving you a multiple choice question. You could pick either one of these. And your answer is, every SIM card had a phone. I was advised not to mix SIM cards, which I was calling different people, like OTP, my family. I was giving different phones for specific purposes, right? But isn't that a fact, sir, that you were mixing SIM cards at a time? Perhaps out of necessity, but you were, in fact, mixing SIM cards, taking them in and taking them out, and that's why you had been previously warned that that was a dangerous practice for your own security purposes.
Like I told you, even before you came to this, that there were different phones with different purposes, and there were phones that I could use freely, even by changing the SIM card.
Okay. Now, we're going to stick on the issue of phones. I apologize for everybody. It's not a terribly sexy topic, but it's an important one. So I'm going to be sort of going into a subsection of the phone topic about you and your answering habits or turning off habits of the phone. If you may recall, yesterday I posed a question or two about you turning off your phone and being unavailable to the investigators while you were working with them. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And it's a fact that you were at times turning off your phone, right?
I will do so.
Well, I know you can,
Like that time you just
but did you do it?
The time you've just spoken about, it was off.
Okay. And I also mentioned a couple of other things about VWU confronting you at times about that, about your phones. And in fact, in one instance, I may not have raised it, but we're going to get to it. At one instance, they didn't trust you. They thought that you could not have possibly have 6 phones. Do you recall that?
I don't.
Okay. Well, we're going to get to that slowly. So let's look at first tab 36, and it's 0107-0289. This is an investigative report. It was filed on 14 May 2013. If you could find it, and when you find it, please let us know.
I have it.
Okay. And it does refer, it is in reference to you, is it not?
It is.
Okay. And so we begin on Monday, on 14 May 2013, in this morning. I don't know, can I say this in public, the number? P3C. Mrs. Steinberg, are you going to get excited, or anybody else?
I do, because that number
All right,
will identify me. That's why
Okay.
it was changed to
Okay.
the current number.
all right.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Witness. Yes.
That this morning, they received 2 SMS to the duty phone, 826, 843, informing that his usual line, meaning your line, was off, and he's unreachable. Now reachable on, that he is reachable, now reachable on a new number. Do you recall that? Do you recall sending those 2 SMS messages on the 14th of May, 2013?
If I do,
Do you recall sending the messages saying, I'm now reachable, but I have a new number?
I don't remember.
Okay. I know you don't remember, but you would not be disputing what is in this report, would you?
I'm not disputing.
Okay, all right. So then it says that you were called by a couple of investigators, and a meeting was arranged on that particular day at 13:10. Do you recall being called for a meeting?
I don't remember.
Okay. And then it says that you apologize for having your phone switched off since the previous Friday, 10 May 2013, and that for not being in contact with the team. He said that he had been away from his apartment since 7 p.m. on Saturday, 11 May 2013, that he was visiting. Now, this, I don't know whether we can do this in public or not. I don't.
But no, please, because he had asked that yesterday that
Yes,
that be kept in
that's why I'm-
private
I'm-
session. Yes.
I don't want to embarrass the gentleman. So we go into private?
Can we go into private session, please?